Alrighty, hello.
Hello.
Welcome, guys, to episode 28 of Low the podcast. I am Ramo, and this is Jens once
Hi.
again. Um, Now, we have an absolutely chock-filled episode this week. I
It's a
mean,
thick one.
I don't think we've had this long an episode, since maybe the first one we did, like with all of our
You
sort of
reckon?
predictions and like thoughts about. Yeah, that was a long episode. I don't think we've had a long one this long since then. Because I'm just looking at the write up now. This is going to be bonkers, the amount of stuff we have to try and fit in.
Well, lots
Um,
happened. A lot has
it's been a
happened.
busy week. Yeah, it has been a busy week for gaming and sort of pop culture and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess we can sort of start off with just a little thing from each of us. So Jens, have you been like sort of watching or playing anything roughly the past couple of weeks?
Oh, I
I don't think
have.
we've
I've
touched on
been
it too much.
delving into the Lucas Pope games, and
Mm,
holy shit. It is so
bonkers,
good.
aren't they?
Papers,
Yeah.
Please. Started with that. Loved it. And then went
hmm
to Oberdin, which I'm currently in the middle of trying to finish. Oh my
Yeah.
god, they're so good. Yeah, have you played both of them?
Yeah. I haven't played Obra Dinn just because it didn't seem like the game for me, but I have played Papers, Please, and Papers, Please, I do agree with you, is an
Mhm.
exceptional game. Very sort of thought provoking as well. It's very different from anything. I don't think I can compare it to any other thing that's out there, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know what sort of category of game I put it in. Like a first person shooter or like strategy game.
It could be
I don't even know if there's
simulator.
like a stamp simulator game. Is it yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do implore anyone that hasn't tried it yet, please do give it a go. It can run on basically any computer you've got, so
Mhm.
there's no real excuse. But yeah, it's a very good game.
I
So
reckon you would like
do recommend.
Oberdin. Like, it definitely
You reckon?
takes a few minutes, but once you get over
Mm,
and know what you're doing, it gets so
I,
good.
I yeah, I mean, I was watching you play it sort of in the background whilst
Yeah.
I think I was playing Pokemon at the same time, or I was doing uni work. I can't remember.
Yeah, Pokemon, I think
Um,
you said.
but yeah, but I did enjoy what I was watching. You know, like it does seem quite interesting and intriguing, I guess. And
Mhm.
it sort of does fit that like the strategy puzzle
Mm,
sort of bit of my brain that I enjoy. So
maybe.
I might add it to the wish list. You know, give it a go.
What about you?
See how it
What you been
turns out.
up to?
Not much. Uni
Pokemon?
started back up this week, and Pokemon. Just my two loves in life: uni work and Pokemon.
Sorry, Emma.
No, yeah, sorry. Um, but yeah, no, uni's gone back this week, so
Yeah,
that was
okay.
kind of exciting. All the online classes again because we're sort of all in lockdown still, so
Gotcha.
it's kind of rough. But I think I prefer the online classes anyways because I can just do them in my pajamas. Like
I
it's
mean,
nice.
it's pretty nice to be able to do that in your pajamas, that's for sure.
It is, and the like at the moment I'm doing more of a theory based subject, so it's social computing. So it's sort of like the theory and the concept behind like the social use and aspects of computing, like so social medias and all that sort of
Hmm,
stuff. So it's not
interesting.
a technical unit. Um, but I was where my room is situated in the house. It's right
Mm.
sort of outside the kitchen, and so I have my wireless headphones. I was just out making a hot chocolate real quick and some breakfast. Whilst the class was still going on, and I could still hear everything and can still
Yeah.
and I got asked a question, so I had to quickly put down what I was doing and run back into the room and sit down and answer it. But I was like, that's the benefit of having these wireless headphones
You
now,
should
is
have
I
like
can do
a.
that. Like
I know you have the
I could
same
have put the
headphones as
mic
me,
on.
but like you should, if you,
I could have put the mic on
yeah, if you had
and just
Bajo's
taken it
one
out.
where you pop down the mic, that would be great.
The flick,
The
yeah.
flick one.
Well, I mean, the ones that we have, they got the little mute button on the bottom that you can just
Yes.
hit real quick, so you can stay quiet and stuff when you need to, and then you can speak when not.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Unless you
yeah.
have that
So that
lady,
was
mic on, mic off.
Oh, bro, she scares me, man. Like sometimes when we finish playing games late at night or something, and I
Yeah.
haven't had my headphones on charge throughout some part of the
Oh,
day, she'll scream because I have them quite loud too.
yeah, she's loud.
But she screams at me at the end of the night. It scares the shit out of me. Yeah. Oh, honestly, terrifying. Corsair, please turn your lady down. Like she's yeah. As much as she's helpful, she's terrifying. Um, But yeah, other than that, I've just been playing Pokemon in the sort
Mhm.
of spare time that I get and rewatching The Office. I finished Parks and Rec, so I'm back to watching The Office
Oh
again.
my god.
Fucking exceptional show. It's
Oh,
yeah.
I watched Doctor Death. I finished it. It's a new TV
Yes.
series on Doctor
I
Death.
have heard you talking about that.
Which is a
Yeah.
podcast. It's so interesting. Like, it basically reiterates everything from the podcast, I assume. I don't think I finished the podcast.
So what is the
What's the
podcast
deal?
about? Because I've heard you talk about it once or twice before, but I can't remember it exactly.
Basically, this doctor, Christopher Dunch, he managed to he operated on 33 patients. And
hang on, is this a real life account
real
thing,
life.
or is this like a fictional? Okay, yeah, cool. Yep.
He operated 33 patients, and 2 of them died, and 27 of them were worse off. So he made his best friend a paraplegic because he operated on his neck, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh.
So he's a very much a botched, like really, like I don't know if he's a psychopath or a sociopath. I don't know what it is. But he's doing it on purpose. Like, he's injuring these
something's
people.
wrong. Yeah, something's wrong. Yeah.
And so he got away with it for so long because of this the system, and like, you know, people can sue each other in you know, all the money and politics.
Yeah.
And so it's very frustrating and very interesting to see. But yeah, I would recommend the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. What's the show on?
Stan. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I remember seeing ads on it. I'll have to check it out. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Bajo had a very hard time watching it because you see some of the like procedures.
Yeah.
And because he has a bad back, and it just hit close to home for him.
It sort of hits the anxiety levels a bit high. I can understand
blame
that.
him.
I mean, yeah, look, I'm not gonna blame him either. Like, I'm sort of the same. Like watching medical procedures. Some medical procedures I can sit through and I'm fine with, but there's some other ones that I just get real squirmish, and like it just it's kind of off-putting, you know, seeing that. And I know it's all natural, and it's like that's just a fact of human life, you know, but it still is. Yeah, it's quite unnerving, you know, because it's not something you see every day, obviously.
No.
So it's kind of a shock to the system.
Shit.
But
I can eat my breakfast to it.
Yeah. I think you're different though, because you did study like
anatomy.
Sort of health and medicine, anatomy and stuff like that in uni at one point. So you're sort of already, I guess, exposed to it or accustomed to it a bit more than the average person, you know?
I feel like, I don't know if it's, okay, not being like sexist, but I don't know if it's like a female thing. Because a lot of females I know love like murder, crime, investigation stuff, medical stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of men I know don't. And I don't know if it's like a correlation or just a coincidence. What?
I don't want to be sexist, but are you just all psychopaths?
I mean, maybe.
Do you just all want to murder someone? Is that the thing? Like?
I mean, I do dream about death a lot, so.
This is true. Barcha, I would be concerned.
What was it? Like 50% of your murders are from someone you know or something? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Some crazy statistic.
Anyways, we're going off topic.
This is kind of off topic of what we normally talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we begin the news?
I guess so. We can. I guess. Yeah. So we've been in here for nearly 10 minutes now. So we're already running out of time.
Start.
Yes. No. A little bit of a lighter topic now. The ever sort of rumored handheld that was being made by Valve has finally been announced. The Steam Deck.
Terrible name.
Stream Deck. It's stupid. When I first saw the headline, I was like,
no, it's Steam Deck.
Is that a typo?
You got it wrong.
I know it is a Steam Deck. I know, but I typed in there as a joke because when I first saw this headline, I was like, is that this? Like, it was early in the morning, so I'd first woken up and I was like, you know, you're a sort of woozy and a bit fuzzy and stuff. I was like, is this a new Stream Deck coming out again or something? And it's such a dumb name because it is so close to the Elgato Stream Deck.
Elgato had their big event the same day. The Steam Deck was announced. So it was Elgato's press, like, big day where they released a lot of products. But it happened on the same day as the Steam Deck. And it was just like, come on.
It's so hard.
I get the name. But
the naming, it does like sort of fit convention. Yeah. Or is it timed correctly? Because you're sort of expecting, like, maybe Valve was like, Elgato sort of maybe has a bigger push than us or vice versa. So maybe they name it really similar and like pin it on the exact same day that it comes out, so that they're hoping that people accidentally typo something when they Google it to get like their clicks and views up. You know, it's something like that. I very much doubt that's the case, but you know, it probably was a thought at some point along the line, I'm assuming. But yeah, so going on, it finally being announced. Basically, it's a Switch, but for your PC games, for all your Steam games. Now, I'm going to run through sort of a big list of all the specs and things like that. There's a couple of different models and a couple of different specs here, so I'm going to go through them quickly. So there are 3 versions that are being announced. I'm just going to name them version 1, 2, and 3. So version 1 is a 64 gig model, has eMMC storage, so it's sort of a little bit slower than what you're typically used to, I guess, than your normal SSDs and all that. Starting at $399, that model is USD as well. This is all in.
Yeah.
Version 2 has a 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD storage, so it's going to be faster than the 64 gig model, and that will be $529. And then version 3 will have a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD storage, which will be faster again than the 256 gigabyte model, and in their words, a premium anti-glare etched glass display, which is the only other difference between storage from the 3 different models. Is the size, and if you get that version 3, you're going to get the premium sort of display, and that version 3 will be $649 US. Kind of expensive, but I sort of see, you know, I guess it's good that they have the different models so that people can sort of pick and choose where they want to like finance themselves in, you know, like it sort of makes a bit of sense. I if anything, I would think most people would want to go for the 512 gig model, just because
for sure,
games these days are huge. Like, you know, you're going to try and fit anything on and it's going to fill up super quick, so that would be the most sense. All 3 models as well have expansion via micro SD. So if you do get the 64 gig model with the sort of the slower the memory, you can still at least expand that with an a micro SD card. So there's sort of upgrade potential there, but then you're also limited again to the slower read and write speeds of a micro SD card. So they're probably not for your super speedy games and stuff like that. They'd be for your sort of smaller indie, you know, like cutesy sort of games, I guess.
Yeah, just on that storage expansion, I did try and Google this because I thought, it doesn't really matter. You can just upgrade it, you know, from a 64 to whatever you want. But they're going to make this really hard to do, because you'll have to basically pry it open and find the slot for it. And in doing so, that'll avoid the warranty.
Yeah, typically as well with eMMC storage, that's typically soldered to the board, so you can't upgrade that. You'd only probably be able to upgrade if you really wanted to, and you avoided your warranty and all that, would be the version 2 and 3.
Right, okay.
You know, and then you'd probably also have to flash like the firmware and things like that, because if they made it so that it's only able to be used with a certain type of NVMe, or if it like detects hardware changes, like there's probably ways that Valve have already thought about negating these upgrades.
I feel like it's gonna be a bit tricky. That's all.
Yeah, so probably not worth your while.
No,
you know, but people will still try it. I can guarantee you, people will try it
for sure.
I 100% guarantee you. Moving on though, all 3 of these models are going to be using 16 gigs of quad channel RAM. So paired with like the sort of APU, which is the CPU and GPU sort of merged together, this is going to offer quite a high memory bandwidth. In layman's terms, this is going to be pretty good for a handheld system. You know, like it's not going to be super fast, but it's also not going to be like a chug machine. You know, like it'll handle most things you throw at it within reason. All 3 models as well are going to be using a 1280 by 800 60 hertz LCD display. So if you remember from last week or the week before when we talked about the new Switch OLED model, all current Switches have an LCD display, which is one thing that people aren't too happy about. So this is sort of like a bit of a weird announcement, I guess, or sort of a bad timing announcement. Just because people are all excited about OLED displays now. Valve has come out with another LCD display, so it's kind of a kick in the shin.
I thought it was OLED for some reason.
No, yeah, you would assume so, but LCD. And then it does also have a brightness, a peak brightness of 400 nits, which is roughly on par with most decent handheld displays. So for reference, like my S21 Ultra, averages around 450 nits when it's on auto brightness, but it can max out at over 1,000 nits in certain conditions. So 400 nits is going to be more than bright enough, I feel, for most people.
Right.
And then also a kind of an interesting swing to it all. In an attempt to combat scalpers, which are very popular these days, with like buying up all the handhelds and consoles and things that they can get their hands on. Yeah. They opened up reservations in a way that was only accessible to people that had a Steam account that was older than June of this year, and you had to have at least one purchase under the account's name before that as well.
That's great.
So you couldn't just like make a ton of random new accounts to get like a ton of access to consoles and things. You had to have sort of a pre-existing account for at least a month and a purchase. So it was kind of good. And then if you meet the criteria, you could put down a $5 deposit on any of the 3 models. And then at some point in the future, you're going to be contacted by Steam when it's your chance to purchase the device.
Yeah.
Having said that, I still see them on eBay and like, sites like that saying buy my
reservation?
My Steam Deck by reservation for $1,400 or whatever it was. So it was a nice attempt, and it sort of did probably negate a bunch of the bots and things that could have accessed it.
Yeah.
But it's still like it's not 100% foolproof. So
Classic.
it's half a step there. We were almost there, but I think it's almost impossible to stop scalpers at this stage.
For sure.
Having said that, though, gents.
Yeah.
At any of this, are you at all interested in getting a Steam Deck?
I am very interested in it purely because it's like for example, Papers, Please. Like, it'd be so cool to be able to play it in bed,
Yeah.
It'd be
I do understand that.
It like Nintendo does it great, but this is like for every game you own, basically.
It's
huge.
It is.
But
the only thing I was thinking about with this, though, before you go any further, was that most people aren't probably going to be running like Grand Theft Auto 5 or
I was going to say,
anything super intensive like that on this. They're probably going to be saving it for a lot of their indie games or their smaller games. With that being said, a lot of the big indie games that are coming out these days, kind of a weird term to use, but big indie is the only one I can think about. Almost all of the big indie games that are being announced and released these days are also being announced and released on the Switch.
That's true.
Which is a cheaper model than the Steam Deck. And having said that as well, the Switch also comes with like a big list of sort of very popular games. All the Mario games, all the Legend of Zelda games, all that sort of stuff. So it puts, I guess, buyers in a really weird spot because it's like, do you want to play indie games on this device or do you want to play indie games on this device?
Yeah. I think it depends on what sort of games you are looking to play. Like,
that's very true.
Very much so. I also agree. This is probably not going to handle, or you don't even want to play big games on this, like a shooter or
because it's such a small display that it's not gonna translate well.
No, and if you have a PC. I assume you have a good PC because you have a good Steam account, like with a whole bunch of games.
Yeah.
Like you're probably just going to play on certain games the computer. So it's like...
That's it, yeah.
There is... Yeah, I can only really see it for indies.
There is a market for it, don't get me wrong.
For sure.
I can see this selling quite... And having said that, when they did open up the reservations list on the Steam app, their servers did get overloaded and it did crash the website and stuff like that. So, obviously people are excited to get their hands on this. But it's, I don't know.
Do you think you'll get one?
I don't think I'm going to. No, I don't think so.
No. Thought so.
Because I'm sort of in the boat that I'm too scared to, I think, take it with me anywhere. Like, just out of fear of losing it or getting it stolen or damaged it or something like that. And so when I'm at home, if I play it in bed, my bed is like 4 steps away from my PC.
Right behind,
I might as well just get up and play my PC. Like it's sort of a bit silly, like
And you're a Nintendo boy, so I feel like Nintendo is just the perfect fit.
Exactly. I'm very much a Nintendo person, so I'm just I would prefer to stick to that. And a lot of the small games I play as well, like I don't play that many small games. Like a
Yeah.
lot of my games I play are like Rainbow Six Siege or like Call of Duty or something like that. So
The
they're
PC
they're sort of
games.
irrelevant for a handheld. They're
Yeah.
going to be a keyboard and mouse game through and through.
Yeah,
So,
I'm curious at how it
yeah.
goes. Like currently, we can't. Us Aussies can't pre-order it. It's
No,
I think
it's only
only
for US, UK, some other
Canada.
European countries and Canada. Yeah.
So
So basically, anyone that's northern hemispheres can get it, but
Yeah.
us southern hemisphere people can't get
I
it.
think it's projected to be end of next year or something like that.
Well,
Could be wrong.
so the weird thing was they were originally hoping for a December 2021 release for I think the first 2 models or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
But then when they got bombarded with
Right, okay.
reservations. And so when they saw how big their reservation list actually grew to, they pushed back the release dates, I think. So the 64 gig version for version 1, that has now been pushed back to Q1 of 2022, so sort of the first 3 months roughly.
Okay, yeah.
Version 2 was pushed back to Q2, so that's sort of sometime around winter for us. And then version 3 got pushed back to Q3.
Right.
So that's right before sort of Christmas time-ish
Yeah.
next year. So that's a pretty big delay in all those models, compared to what they were hoping for, which was December this year. But that could also probably come down to obviously in the current state of the world, there's a lot of like shortages in terms of some tech things and all that stuff. So that's going to slow down the production line of these, But yeah, I guess kind of exciting for people that do want them though, because it's finally been announced and they can finally sort of put their hand up and say, "Here, I want one."
Yeah.
You just got to wait a little bit, but I'd be interested to see how it actually plays games
Me
when
too.
people can start getting their hands on it, because I think that's when I would finally be able to make
A proper decision.
my decision.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, at the moment, like seeing all these specs on paper is like that's all good and all, but it's not a real world situation, Like,
I get you.
but yeah, kind of exciting. I guess moving on, Jens. Another kind of a weird, sort of out of the blue topic. Do you want to run us in through this Netflix
Netflix
one?
Obviously, everyone knows Netflix. It's probably
My
one
best
of the
friend.
biggest streaming platforms, services. Sorry, and
Probably the biggest.
yeah. So
I think it's safe
they're
to say.
looking to go into games, which is interesting. I say games, and I'm gonna put that in quotation marks because I don't know what sort of games. Because they refer to their interactivity of, how Black Mirror Bandersnatch, that interactive,
Yes.
I guess you
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it
yeah.
a movie or a short, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Basically,
Like a
you
choose your own
watched-
adventure.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure on Netflix under the Black Mirror, the people who made Black Mirror. I would recommend. And so
highly recommend,
you use your
yeah.
remote. It only works on very the latest TVs or your laptop. Some laptops, I think. Some people had it difficulty working.
If you had an older, like sort of just HD TV that doesn't have really smart features, it might struggle a little bit. I think they tried to make it as expansive as possible and work on as many devices as possible, but obviously there's going to be limitations at some point down the line. So, but yeah,
that, and apparently they did a Stranger Things game. I'm not sure what they were referring to this.
I mean, they've done a couple of them. I know I've seen
the old
Bear Grylls.
Uh-huh.
They did a Bear Grylls thing that was sort of targeted towards kids, and like they made it sort of a discovery type thing.
Oh, right.
So like they put Bear Grylls in like some Amazon
like Dora the
rainforest type
Explorer?
situation thing. Sort of, I think, yeah. And like you could go through, and in very similar form to Bandersnatch, you could like pick and choose which route he went. So
Gotcha.
like he'd come up to like this fork in the road or something like that,
Oh,
and you'd
yeah.
be like, okay, kids, which way am I going? And you'd go like left or right. Or like he'd be like, okay, I just got stung by a wasp. Do I pee on my leg or do I bite it off? And then like the kids can pick and choose,
Wow.
and you could get multiple different endings and things like that. I did watch half of it,
Dora
but then I
got
got
an
a bit sick of
upgrade.
it because it was a bit sick. I got a bit sick of like it was very kid oriented.
Yeah,
So I was like,
slower. Yeah.
But yeah, so they have done a couple of those things since Bandersnatch came out.
And I
but-
wonder if this is what they mean by games, because they keep referencing
Yeah.
these two. But they will add it to Netflix and won't charge extra for them. So I assume it's going to be on the similar vein of using your remote to guide the story, or choose what the character does. So I feel like it's gonna be that sort of game aspect and not actually like Call of Duty or
Yeah. Having said that, though, I can see them at some point in the future going into that sort of game streaming or like game delivery service in a sort of similar way to what do you call it, like Xbox Game Pass and things like that. Because Netflix is quite a forward-thinking company in the sense that they're always sort of, I guess, one step ahead of like the current wave in media consumption, I guess. Like Netflix became so popular because years and years and years ago when they first pitched their idea to the Blockbuster like board of directors or something. When they first pitched the idea of making an online streaming service or like sort of mail-in service that it initially came out as,
interesting.
The what was it? The Blockbuster board of directors sort of laughed at them. I'm like, that's never going to work. People like coming to the store
now.
and they like picking up physical copies of movies and taking them home. Like, it's never going to work. And obviously, like, lo and behold, look how that turned out. Netflix is now the king in the world of sort of video streaming and mass sort of production and distribution and whatnot. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do have something up their sleeves as what's going to be like the next big thing in sort of I guess distribution or media consumption in whatever way they think of. And video games I feel like is the next big thing because it's sort of the perfect blend of, I think, what they were going for with the Bandersnatch and like the Bear Grylls interactive thing is it's the blend of like traditional media and then also interactivity. Like they're merging them in a sort of very interesting way. So it's and it'd be interesting as well, like the Bandersnatch, it was a very interesting way to tell a story.
It was
like there was multiple different endings, there was sort of multiple different paths that the viewer could go through, so it really hasn't been seen
ever
in this sort of media before. Like it's been in books before. I remember like growing up you'd have the choose your own adventure books and things, but I've never seen it like this before. So
not in modern day
who
anyways
knows?
But it was
exactly
really cool. Like I remember doing it. I was very excited to do the Bandersnatch thing.
The day that it came out, like 5 p.m. whenever it hit, I was like, I'm ready to go, let's go. Like
it was great. So, and it's I reckon it'll be along the same lines of this, having an interactive story thing on Netflix. So you know what, if it's anything like Bandersnatch, I'll be excited. So
yeah, I'm down. I'll give it a go. I'll give anything a go once, I guess.
Very curious to see what they come up with.
Yeah, kind of exciting. Moving on though, one of the next biggest things going on in the gaming world at the moment is just a small game called New World. Now I don't know too much about New World because this is sort of not my kind of game. Like I'm not the biggest MMO type RPG player, sort of thing. But New World is, as I just said, like an MMO developed by Amazon Games. And it has just opened up its closed beta with nearly 200,000 players testing it out so far, which is kind of a big deal.
It's huge.
It's huge, yeah. I know in Badger's Discord, I've seen a bunch of people talking about it, and there's a bunch of people in there that are super excited about checking it out. So, it's reaching everywhere. But I guess I can just give you a little like spiel as to what the game is. So it's described as a thrilling open world MMO filled with danger and opportunity, where you'll forge a new destiny on the supernatural island of Ethereum. Some weird island. I don't know.
Someplace.
Yeah. But it's quite popular. It's sort of looking like it's going to be the next big thing in the whole MMO like world.
Hopefully.
A lot of people are excited for it. So yeah, hopefully it does well for them. Obviously with most betas and sort of alpha tests and things like that, there has been a slew of like bugs and things like that being reported, like connection issues, just frame dropping, certain activities being bugged out, like phishing and whatnot. But that's sort of the whole point of these beta tests, is to sort of, clear the water of all of these. and in a funny turn of events, a streamer that was actually playing the game got permabanned after milking a cow.
Yep.
Not sure what the whole deal was there. I guess the cow maybe didn't consent to being milked or something like that.
Like she managed to do the whole thing, got the glass of milk, and then the game was like, that's a breach of code of conduct. I don't know. It must be a bug. It must be like
it has to be.
An accident.
It's got to be yeah, for sure. Are you going to check out New World? I think Barjo was going to be checking that out tonight.
Yeah, I believe he's going to be doing it tonight. I actually downloaded the game. Yeah. I'm in the process of downloading it right now, so for sure.
Okay, yep. Check it out, yeah. All right. You'll have to let us know maybe next week if you do get a chance to play it, how it sort of all goes and what it feels like, I guess. Because you're as well, you haven't played the most MMOs.
I'm not the biggest MMO fan. Person.
When he tried to get you to play World of Warcraft, you really couldn't get into it all that much, like.
Well, he did not the best job in teaching me. We swam for like 30 minutes.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's my biggest gripe with a lot of these games is the grind.
Yeah.
Like there was probably an easier way for it to get around to that. Like in your situation, there probably was an easier way to get to wherever you needed to go, but you choose to swim for 30 minutes. Like that feels like a bit of a grind to me. I'm not really down for that. So
well, it was because we tried to like skip over some content to get to a certain area, so we swam because there was no other way to go.
There's no other way to go.
No, not at that stage. No.
Yeah. No, not for me. I might check it out if it gets enough of a good word or a buzz, or it's kind of like if they're trying to make it accessible to as many types of gamers as they can. I'd be down to check it out, But yeah, probably not for me.
Yeah, you never know.
But something that sort of is up my alley a little bit more, Jen.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to check it out, but it is a little bit more up my alley. I probably will. But XDefiant was recently announced. Do you want to take us through sort of what XDefiant is?
Sure.
A little bit.
So Ubisoft, I think out of nowhere, kind of just dropped a new game or an announcement for a game. Sorry, because it's not actually out just yet.
It's not. No.
But yeah, Ubisoft is delving deeper into the Clancyverse. So you know how Tom Clancy.
I like
all
that word.
Jazz.
I like that word. Yeah. I like that.
With Tom Clancy's XDefiant, which is a first-person multiplayer shooter with characters or defiance. And according to your faction, I don't know how many factions there are. Maybe 4 or 5.
I think 4. I think 4 from the trailer, from memory. Yeah.
According to your faction, that depicts what abilities you have, basically. And it'll be I think you just go and fight. It's kind of like Overwatch or Valorant in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was watching it yesterday, it did seem very Overwatchy.
Yeah.
Like, what was the game type in Overwatch where you had to push the cart?
I don't know what they were called.
The official word was called. But it seems sort of similar to that, where one of the factions or one of the teams was sort of pushing or, I guess... moving forward across this map to try and capture flags or capture points or something like that. It's sort of a bit unclear as to what the game mode was, but it seems kind of interesting. I don't know. The whole free to play aspect of it sort of scares me a bit. I'm not too sure. It did remind me though. You remember a couple of weeks ago when we discussed Ubisoft was trying to delve more into AAA free-to-play games rather than like AAA $60 games that they've typically done for the past I don't know how many years.
This is it.
This was sort of like I was like, is this the first one that they're doing? Is this the start of it? Like because the Tom Clancy's name and I guess franchise is probably one of Ubisoft's most popular franchises.
It's huge, yeah.
It's very big, and so putting that name on this and making it a free-to-play is sort of, I guess, the first inkling of the free-to-play AAA era that Ubisoft is, I guess, pushing. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I did sign up for the beta or the alpha, whatever test they're doing initially.
Yes.
I don't think we'll be able to get into it, though, because I think it's only for
Canada and
North
the US.
American users at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to try my luck and see if there's a way around it or something. I'd be interested to give it a go. it seems kind of cool from the trailer, but they always try and make trailers look really cool. So I'm still, reserving some hope, I guess.
Yeah.
They did in the trailer though, they did sort of emphasize a lot, and I mean a lot,
On the gum.
just how important the gunplay was.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I was reminded every 7 seconds
Hey, guns.
that gunplay was their top priority. I don't know. It seems like it's a very slick and fast paced shooter though as well, sort of like a very Call of Duty like,
Yeah.
which interests me.
The
So, I don't
thing
know.
I
I'll give it a
worry about is that I don't know how many teams there are, but if there are like 4 teams,
Yeah.
4 teams is
It's gonna be a lot going on.
going up
Yeah.
against each other. Like, I don't know how that's gonna work because all the shooters is 2 teams. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you only need
Yep.
to focus on one other person. Like, but
Yeah.
now there's that times 4, and that worries me a bit.
There's a lot going on.
Because Call of Duty is
Yeah.
fine because it's still 2 teams. There's a lot of people, but there's
It's 2
still
teams
2
of
teams.
2 teams of 5 or 6 or something. In most like search and destroy and like those objective based game modes,
Yeah.
they're usually limited to 5 or 6 players on a team. But like the bigger team deathmatch ones, I think is like 12 people on a team each or something like that. It's a
Yeah.
little bit bigger. But it's I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a go.
Me
It's
too.
free. Can't really say no to that. I did see a lot of people on Reddit, I think it was, or Twitter, I can't remember. But they were sort of like, this doesn't seem like a Tom Clancy's game, and I can very much agree with that. It doesn't seem like a traditional Tom Clancy's game in any way of any sense or form. It sort of feels like they just slapped the Tom Clancy's name on it as a way to give it, I guess, market recognition or sort of like, make it a bit sort of sound more popular.
Clout.
I don't know. Get that Tom Clancy's clout going,
Yeah.
and that I can also sort of agree with, because it sort of seems like they just tacked on the name at the end, as a way to help sell it. It doesn't feel like a Tom Clancy's game at all. Tom Clancy's games are usually sort of very stealthy
Tactical.
or very like tactical in their way, which I guess you can also say XDefiant is a tactical shooter, but it still just doesn't seem like it. It feels a bit weird to me putting that name on it, but I don't know.
Time will tell.
I'll give it a go, I guess. Yeah, time will tell. I think that's it though for the bulk of our like sort of newsy topics for the week. We do now, however, though, have quite a large Marvel
section.
block at the end. There's a bunch that we got to talk about, mainly Loki and Black Widow. But I guess we can start off, James, before we do get into the spoiler talk of Loki and Black Widow. When I was trolling Reddit on my lunch earlier, I did see on the Marvel subreddit that apparently Henry Cavill has met with Marvel Studios in London. And I just wanted to see how you felt about that, because it's kind of exciting, but also kind of weird, because as probably a lot of people know, Henry Cavill is currently, I guess was, I'm not sure, he was playing Superman for Warner Brothers and the DC Universe and all that and whatnot. And so meeting with Marvel is kind of a, that throws a whole spanner in the works.
Marvel trying to
again,
poach?
this is all allegedly. I don't know if this is 100% true. Obviously, this is from Reddit, so people could be just making shit up. But I feel like Marvel's trying to capitalize on the fact that Warner Brothers has treated him so poorly, I guess. And like his character and things like that. When did Man of Steel, I think, came out in 2013, which is 8 years ago now. And there still hasn't been a second Superman movie, or even an inkling of any, Superman movie coming out. They're sort of just kept him on for the sake of it. And when I was scrolling through the Reddit or whatever, the post for this, there were a couple of comments that I saw that stood out, because it does delve a little bit more into how, I guess, Warner Bros. Has mistreated him a little bit. So I want to give you these 2 points here. So this is from a Reddit user. He goes on to say, any role in the MCU would be far better than the treatment he's received from Warner Brothers. I read that on the birthday of the actor that was in the Shang-Chi movie. I forget who the protagonist is in that, the actor that plays him. But on his birthday, Marvel Studios released a new trailer for Shang-Chi as sort of a celebration for his birthday.
Right.
And like as a way to say, like, thank you for playing this character. Like, we're excited to have you join the Marvel universe. Have a new trailer. Meanwhile, on Henry Cavill's birthday, Warner Brothers announced plans for a new actor to take on the Superman role. Which is kind of a big slap in the face,
What the hell?
Yeah, it's kind of a dog move. Another Reddit user then just sort of tagged onto this guy's original post and said they also unfollowed him on social media. So Warner Brothers unfollowed Henry Cavill on social media. Kind of an irrelevant point, I feel, because like you can just unfollow, refollow people quite easily.
Yeah.
But then he goes on to say he wouldn't be surprised if the bridge between Warner Brothers and Henry has been burnt. It's kind of a damn shame, he goes on to say, because he's blowing up at the moment, and I think Marvel are smart enough to meet with him, which, it does make a lot of sense. Henry Cavill's a very big name at the moment, obviously with his Witcher TV show on Netflix and, all that sort of stuff. He's still very much in the limelight, and so I think Marvel
I
want to yoink that.
what the line of events were. Like, did he have talks with Marvel already before being dropped, or like the speculation that they're looking for a new Superman, because that's like out of the blue? And then if they announced it that they're going to do a new Superman and not be Henry Cavill, then obviously he would look elsewhere.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I sort of said that as well. I was like, we're not sure if this was Henry Cavill pitching an idea to Marvel about a character he would like to play or something like that, or if it was Marvel pitching an idea to Henry Cavill to play. But I do have the Reddit post still up here. Because obviously this is all speculation, so people are just guessing at the moment as to who he's going to play. So I'm going to read off a couple of them. He'd be a great Mr. Sinister, one person says, which I can kind of agree with. Mr. Sinister is kind of like a vampire typey.
Oh, okay.
What do you call it? Part of the X-Men sort of lineup thing. Kind of an interesting character. I could see him playing him. Let's see who else we got here. A lot of people did say he could play Doctor Doom as well. But then there was a lot of people like sort of arguing and disagreeing, saying that Mads Mikkelsen would also be good for Doom, but Mads Mikkelsen has also played another villain in the Marvel Universe already.
Yeah.
But then you could also say that the whole timeline thing at the moment, because of the multiverse thing, you can sort of, make that redundant. Like there's a way around it. Then a lot of people are saying, don't hide Henry Cavill's glorious, sexy face behind Doom's mask, which I also agree with. That'd be kind of a dog move.
Yeah.
Going on any further, Wonder Man, which is kind of a weird one. I don't see that working as much. I don't see him working that well. It's sort of just like a knockoff
Wonder Woman.
What do you call it? No, knockoff like Superman type thing. He's sort of just very similar to Superman.
That's what I mean, sorry.
People are saying maybe Sentry or Hyperion, and then a lot of people are saying Hyperion would be sick. Again, I can sort of see this one a little bit more than Wonder Man. But there was one that really stood out to me, and when I get to it here, it was for Captain Britain, and I can really see him playing a pretty good Captain Britain because he's got that accent down pat already. He's sort of buff. He's like, Captain Britain is sort of the Captain America of the UK, obviously. So I think that would work. People did also say Wolverine because of how buff he is, but I think a lot of people don't want him playing Wolverine just because of how tall he is. Typically in the comics, Wolverine's quite a short and stubby sort of person. So having someone that's like 6'1" doesn't really work well. I did also see someone say he could play a pretty good Scott Summers, who is Cyclops in the X-Men, which I can also see very well. Because Scott Summers is sort of like a very broody, like he's sort of like a very angsty type person. He's never really quite excited or happy. He's sort of always like very moody, I guess. And I think he could play that really well because of how he played Superman over on the Warner Brothers side of things. So yeah, there's a couple of good points that are being made. But I don't know. I guess I'm just excited to see what comes to fruition from all this. I guess if you guys have any thoughts as to who Henry Cavill could play, do let us know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear your theories. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited for it though, because
Henry
Cavill is a good thing.
Henry Cavill's great.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I'll look at him all day. It's great. So, but yeah, hopefully something comes of it sooner rather than later too. I would hope they would like to utilize him, within the next couple of years rather than like 7 years down the line.
Yeah, I'm sure they would if it's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do figure something out for him sooner rather than later. They can maybe tack him on in like an end credit scene for one of the upcoming movies that have already sort of been shot or like just about to finish wrapping up production. They could easily squeeze something in. So, but yeah, I guess now though, we can move on to our spoiler talk for the week. So I think we'll start off with. Do you want to start off with Loki or Black Widow, Jens?
Ooh, Loki.
Okay, we'll do Loki first. So if you guys haven't seen the finale for the Loki TV show, I would recommend to stop listening now, because we are going to delve into the spoilers and sort of our thoughts as to what we thought of just this episode and of the series as a whole. So I guess thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. And she'll see you next week. Now I loved this episode.
It
was exceptional. It was a very interesting episode. What did you think of it overall, Jens? Was there anything that stood out to you as like a major takeaway?
I didn't love it as much as you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. What was it you didn't love about it?
I don't know. But
because I can sort of understand a lot of people I saw online, not a lot of people, but I saw a fair few people online talking about that it was a very sort of chatty episode is the word I think I saw a lot of them use, or like the word I would use, in the sense that there wasn't too much like sort of action or anything like that. It was just a very talkative episode, so I can kind of understand people's views on that front. But I do feel like it's sort of warranted in the sense that this episode is
the whole
a very
series.
clinical point for the whole like Marvel universe going forward now. So I sort of feel like they did need to set that up a lot, and I think that's what I said to you when we finished watching it like last week or something, the day after when we were talking on Discord. I was like, I feel like they needed to do that just for the setup,
Yeah, and that's not my issue with it. I don't need to be happy with action. I think it was just not, it just didn't feel full, I didn't feel, I needed more. I needed something to close. Yeah,
you didn't get your closure.
And I think that's why I didn't like the one of the Avengers, how they ended, because it was part one. I was very mad about it.
Oh, yeah.
I think some viewers were the same as well. But anyways.
Yeah. Now that I can sort of understand that too. I can sort of understand that.
I don't remember.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I don't remember a lot except for the talking about this episode. I'm trying to remember.
How do you feel about the kiss?
Oh, the kiss. I liked it.
Okay, good. Yeah. It's kind of cute.
I gasped.
I was very much expecting it, you could sort of see it very much like want to happen in the last episode, on episode 5. And I think I'm kind of glad that it did. Be interested to see where they go with it in the future. How they're gonna progress that relationship, I guess. Kind of interesting to see. But yeah, I do just want to tack on. I'm sort of going to go into my points now. I was right, thankfully, from my assumption last week. I think it was.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm also right with an asterisk, sort of. Because as much as it was Kang, he didn't outright say that he was Kang, like the original Kang. And a lot of people have seen that too, and they were like, this Kang is probably a variant of Kang. So the real, quotations marks, the real Kang is still out there somewhere, floating around the universe or doing his own thing at some point, like controlling it. So I was like, yes, I was right, but I was also not right, but I was right. So I'll still take the win. I'll still take the dub, but yeah. Uh, I'm very excited that it is Kang the Conqueror though, because he's going to be huge, and I feel like the actor that portrayed him in this did a really good job. He sort of played him very quirky and a bit different than what I would expect Kang to be.
Yeah.
But I'm going to write that down to the fact that he was a variant, so he's sort of a different iteration of Kang, and I feel like when we do meet the true Kang, he's going to be a lot more like sinister and a lot more evil and a lot more like, intimidating, I guess. I feel like that's what they're saving a little bit for. This is just your first taste of him. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where it goes. Very excited.
Yeah, I thought he was great too. And like the whole, I've loved this series so much, of like the whole TVA idea and all that jazz. And now like he was right, because they killed him. All hell's gone loose. And the way they ended it of like Loki being at like a different, like, did he come back to a different TVA or?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. They didn't really wrap that up or anything like that. You couldn't tell if it was the same TVA, if it was a different TVA. He could be in a different timeline now because it's all split and sharded.
Owen Wilson didn't recognize him. And there was a statue of Kang.
Yes.
Which I feel like if that was always there, they would have known.
We're assuming it's probably a different timeline then.
Yeah.
You can assume it's probably a different timeline. Yeah. Having said that though, have you seen the theory that's floating around on the internet about, well, it's not really a theory, but it's like something that a lot of people have pointed out. If you watch, it's kind of a stretch, I think. Kind of a stretch, but I can also see it being real. If you put the finale episode for WandaVision on, and you also play the finale for Loki at the exact same time, at around, I think, the 27-minute mark, a lot of people were saying, when they meet Kang and they're sitting sort of like in his office thing up the stairs, and you can see like the timeline in the background sort of growing through the window there. At the exact same time that it starts to like split into multiple different timelines and sort of go all haywire, is the exact same time in the WandaVision finale that Wanda fully powered up and became the real Scarlet Witch.
Wow.
And so a lot of people are saying that that was because I think Scarlet Witch is set after the events of, obviously WandaVision is set after the events of Loki in chronological order, because Loki started in episode 1 of the Loki TV show. He started off just after the events of the Battle of New York when he got captured by the Avengers. So obviously that was back in like 2012 or whatever it was. I don't know. And so a lot of people are saying that it syncs up, and that Scarlet Witch was actually, her becoming Scarlet Witch was the split of the whole multiverse and it becoming a thing. Which, like I said, I feel like it's kind of a stretch, but I can also see
it be real.
Like, being a thing.
Knowing Marvel. I feel like Marvel are very good at that too.
They are. They're very, what's the word? Not aware, but they're very... No, not woke, but, I don't know. It's going to bug me if I try and think
I know
about
what you mean, though.
They know what they're doing a lot of the time. Like, nothing's really an accident in the Marvel universe, I feel. They sort of plan it out quite well. They're always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So I feel like, if anything, I feel like it was deliberate, but it could also just be a happy little accident. Who knows?
Very coincidental.
Yeah. But as an overall, I loved Loki. I enjoyed it much more than Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Me too.
I still think I enjoyed WandaVision the most. I still think that is my top tier Disney Plus TV show at the moment.
I think I agree.
Yeah, very closely followed by Loki though, very closely. But it's I still think that was my favorite. But yeah, I can't wait as well though for Loki season 2.
Yeah.
I had this inadvertently spoiled for me because I watched it I think, a day or two late because I was waiting until I went over to Emma's on Friday to watch it with her. And so I had it in. I had not anything else in the episode spoiled, but the fact that season 2 was happening, I had that inadvertently spoiled. Just on Twitter and things like that. So I was kind of sad at that, but also like there's worse spoilers that I could have been spoiled by. So it's it's sort of a best case scenario, I guess. But I'm very excited they're doing a season 2. Who knows if it's going to be a similar sort of sense in like it's going to be a very time jumping, sort of adventure through the timeline thing, or if it's going to be something completely different, if it's going to follow Tom Hiddleston's Loki, or if it's going to follow Sylvie's Loki. Like, we don't know.
Cool.
Could it follow Alligator Loki? Like, we just don't know.
That'd be very cool.
So, they do have the opportunity to do that, I guess, if they wanted to. I feel like it'd be a waste to introduce Sylvie into this season and then not utilize her at all. So they could just make season 2 follow Sylvie a lot more. Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. I guess. And then Black Widow.
I also watched Black Widow. Yeah, I finally got around to watching Black Widow.
And
I enjoyed it a lot more than what I was expecting to.
Okay, good.
Believe it or not.
Thank God.
I really enjoyed it.
How good is it?
I was quite pleasantly surprised.
It is amazing.
It's a really good movie. I give them props to Marvel. They've done something real good here. As I said a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't my most anticipated Marvel movie, that's for sure. And I feel like me being blown away by it, or not really blown away by it, but me being like
impressed,
sort of a little bit taken aback and impressed, is due to me going in with sort of lower expectations than normal,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really well done. I liked the action sequences. I sort of liked the story as an overall. I feel like it was quite fulfilling for the Black Widow character. It was really well done. All the other extra characters they added were great as well. The only gripe that I really had, Red Guardian was really well done. Who is it? David Harbour plays him really well. Yeah.
What's the gripe? Come on.
The only gripe I had with it was how they did Taskmaster.
Taskmaster? Who's Taskmaster?
So it was the girl in the hood. That in the white and orange and blue suit. The daughter of the guy that owns the Red Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Taskmaster. And so I don't know if I think I told Emma, I didn't tell you, but Taskmaster in the comics is sort of like a B-grade villain. Like, he's not your Thanos, he's not your Kang the Conqueror, he's not your anything like that, but he's sort of like I guess a B-grade villain. And so he's utilized a lot in the comics as like a secondary sort of villain or a sub-villain to a lot of the other ones.
Right.
And I feel like they've sort of wasted Taskmaster in this movie by I don't know if they've like killed her off or at the moment, or if they've just sort of put the mantle down, but it I feel like they sort of wasted it as to what it could be.
Like, she could have been better? Is that what you mean?
I just feel like they could have like not made her better. Like her herself, like in the movie, how they've done her story and weaved it into the MCU was quite well done. I have nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with how she was portrayed throughout the movie. But I just feel like they could have saved her and used her again as a villain later down the line, And I feel like I have this problem a lot with some of the Marvel movies, is that they waste their villains too quickly. And I think when I was looking at that subreddit before about Henry Cavill meeting with Marvel as well, a lot of the other people sort of have the same, I guess, idea. Because I feel like they wasted Mads Mikkelsen's character a fair bit. Like, Mads Mikkelsen is an exceptional actor. I absolutely adore him. But I feel like they could have utilized him a lot better than what they did as just a one-off villain in Doctor Strange. And same with, I forget his name, the actor that plays him, but he plays the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. That sort of feels like a wasted character too, but the Mandarin's also coming back, I think, in like Shang-Chi, because he's part of the Ten Ring Society and all that. Like, it's a whole thing. But yeah, I just feel like they've wasted Taskmaster a bit. I was excited to see where they took it,
Mhm.
and they sort of looks like they've already shot it in the foot a little bit. There's always the potential that some other person in the Marvel universe takes up the Taskmaster like mantle, though, obviously, or like all the timeline things can happen, and another Taskmaster can come into play. Like it
Right.
just But that was probably my only real gripe that I had with it that I can think of, at least at the moment. Yeah. What about you? Was there anything that stood out to you that you disliked about the movie?
I don't reckon I disliked anything. I loved it all. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Yelena. I think she stole the show.
She's great.
She's amazing. Florence played her so well.
It was a very good, and I'm gonna say this, a very good handoff of the baton.
I agree.
If you get my drift,
I
like
agree.
a very good sort of But go on.
And I can't wait to see more of her.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was all so good. Like David was so good. He was so funny.
He was a very good sort of like comedic outtake a lot of the
Yeah.
time, because it's a very sort of serious movie. Like it deals with a lot of I guess sort of serious undertones. Obviously like this the whole like sex trafficking undertone, like the sort of kidnapping of like all these orphan women and things like that. There's it's quite a sort of heavy undertone.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I guess, quite tricky to make I guess or find the humor in that, I guess, obviously, because it isn't a funny topic at all. And it would be quite insensitive to try and make that funny, but they do it
Marvel
so
just
well
do it
in
really
making
well.
they do it so well in making David Harbour's character the comedic outtake for the whole movie. Like he was probably the only one, and like little parts between Yelena and Scarlett's characters, like the sort of sisterly, I guess, like beef between them. There was like little bits of comedy hidden throughout there, but most of it was left down to David Harbour, which I think was quite well done. So props to him. Sorry. I'm excited to see if he comes up again in future Marvel properties. Who knows? There was a very sort of funny like dynamic between him thinking he was better than Captain America, and him always wanting to start beef with Captain America, and like him asking Scarlet like, hey, can you introduce us? Like I want to see if I can beat him, like that whole thing. So it would have been funny if at some point he does meet
that
like
happened,
either Old Man Rogers, or he meets Sam Wilson, or something like that. It'd be kind of fun, I guess. You could maybe save that as like an end credit scene, like how they sometimes do the humorous end credit scenes that don't have too much sort of value outside just being funny. Yeah, they could probably save it for that. I feel like that would be fun. So
speaking of end credits, did you see the end credits?
I did.
Okay,
I haven't seen. It feels like it's been forever since I have sat through a Marvel movie and waited throughout the whole credits to see an end credit scene. So this was like a real treat, for me.
I know.
It's sort of a bit different. It's a bit different in the TV shows, because like it doesn't have the same vibe, like, but no, this was really exciting. And so for those, I guess, that have seen it, obviously, if you're still listening, you've seen it. But Contessa that we saw introduced in what is it? Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah. Yes. So Contessa has a very long name, but I'm just going to go Contessa. It was introduced then. She approaches Yelena right at the end of at the end credit scene, when she was visiting Black Widow's grave. Natasha's grave, wherever it might be. I'm not sure where. Obviously after the events of Endgame and all that, where she sacrificed herself and whatnot. And Contessa asks her if she would like to. Obviously, they're working together because it sounds like she's handing her like another mission or something like that. It's not the first time they've met, obviously. But yeah, Contessa gives Yelena a mission to track down and, I guess, assassinate. Who I really like who you've put here. I don't know if you just couldn't think of his name, but you've written Archer Dude. Jen's wrote Archer Dude in the write-up. Hawkeye is the word, yes. But yeah, she asks Contessa asks Yelena to track down and assassinate, I guess, Hawkeye. Which I immediately drew a line to. Contessa Contessa. Yelena is going to take up the mantle of Black Widow now, or like rename herself as sort of another Widow.
Yeah.
And she will be either the big bad in the Hawkeye TV show that's coming to Disney Plus, or one of like the secondary characters in the Hawkeye TV show. That's my assumption.
Definitely gonna be it.
As soon as I saw Contessa give her the image of Hawkeye, I immediately drew that line. I was like, "This is 100%. This is what's going to happen."
Yeah,
you know.
That'd be great.
I'm very excited to see that. Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, the speculations that maybe Contessa is like trying to build a group because she tried to poach the old Captain America.
Yes, it seems like she's trying to build sort of like not like a Dark Avengers type thing, but sort of like an edgier version of the Avengers, because the Dark Avengers, or like the bad Avengers in the comic, is like there are a lot of the big bads like Magneto and like you know, all that sort of stuff, and obviously we don't have those introduced just yet, so it seems like they're sort of making like an edgy, you know, Avengers gang, which I'm excited for, you know, like.
Yeah, and I bet they fight each other at some stage.
Probably, yeah.
That'll be interesting.
There'll be some other Civil War type movie thing where they all fall out, and but I can't wait. Yeah. For those that, you know, I guess if you're still listening and you haven't seen Black Widow yet and you just had it all spoiled for you, probably still go and watch the movie, because it is a very enjoyable movie.
It's so good.
I was quite surprised as to how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because you were not crazy interested.
No, I wasn't like, I was gonna watch it. Obviously, I'm gonna watch every Marvel movie that comes out, whether or not I'm excited for it or not. But yeah, I wasn't super excited for this. You know, but I'm glad I did watch it. And didn't have anything spoiled for me as well. So it was it was very enjoyable. I am quite pleasantly surprised.
And then, like, you know that vest that Yelena wore?
Yes.
I had no idea, like, Natasha had been wearing it in the latest.
Yeah, it fills in so many gaps.
Yeah.
Between, because obviously a lot of, well, not a lot of gaps, but like the one that I picked up on the most, I don't know if you remember it, but when who was it? When Natasha was telling Yelena about the events of what happened in Budapest. I was like, holy shit, that's what happened. So if you remember, in like all of the Marvel movies that have happened in the past where Black Widow and Hawkeye have had screen time together, they're always talking about what happened in Budapest all that time ago, and they never talk about what actually happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they finally reveal what happens in the Black Widow movies. I don't know if you picked up on it, but what happened was, it was Black Widow and Hawkeye that traveled to Budapest, you know, whenever it might have been, however many years ago, to kill the person, I forget his name, that was in charge of the Red Room. And they did so, and they're probably so ashamed of it, which is why they never talked about it, other than mentioning, oh, this is what happened in Budapest, or like, do you remember Budapest? And, you know, they're probably so ashamed of it because they used the guy's daughter that runs the Red Room. They basically used her as like a suicide bomber type thing, and like put a bomb in her backpack or something. And then as she left school, she ran home, and then they blew it up. And they're probably quite ashamed of what they've done to try and take down this person. So that's why they never talk about it. But they finally revealed in this like what happened, and I was like, holy shit, we finally got that little snippet of like lore. Yeah, and so I was quite excited when I heard that. I immediately paused it and told Emma, I was like, oh my god, this is like, yeah. So I was quite excited to hear that.
That was a great twist, though, like, of who Taskmaster became to be.
Yeah.
Really
Because
cool.
I had no idea who they were going to make it, like, because it could have been a male, like in the comics it's a male, I think, at the moment. And I think it has been for a little while. And they've done it obviously quite differently in the MCU. She's obviously assisted by like the helmet and a lot of the AI that's going on in the helmet. In the comics, Taskmaster is just like a very smart, very quick, like, you know, person that can sort of adapt very quickly. And so, yeah, I was quite, like, I wasn't mad at all at her backstory, I feel, in this. Like, I feel like they've fitted in quite well.
Yeah.
And they made it work, you know? But yeah, no, I feel like I would watch it again.
I think
That's
I
how
would
much I
too.
enjoyed it. I would definitely watch it again. Like it's up there.
It's really good.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it this week. I think we got through everything. That was a long episode, man. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we do wrap up for the week though? Any final words?
Nothing special from me. What about you?
No, nothing really. I guess as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. I guess we'll see you all next week. So bye-bye.
Bye.